Well, again, thank you for joining us. We're going to do about a 60-minute webinar of content followed by a question and answer session. So I want to invite you to type in any questions you have. Type those in the chat box. Just type those in. And either during the webinar or at the end, we'll answer your questions. One of my Pankey team members, Desiree, is going to kind of be my co-panelist, where she'll be, here she is, you see her smiling face right there. Desi will be looking at your questions. And Desi, I'm going to give you permission to stop me in the webinar flow. If you feel like the question fits nicely into the flow of our conversation, just raise your hand and if you would read the question to me, and I'll answer it right there on the fly. Conversely, Des, if you feel like the question fits better at the end, you're welcome to hold it till the end as well. I'll let you make those decisions on the fly, but feel very welcome to stop me. Very happy to deal with questions as they come in. And again, I want to encourage you to ask questions. The only silly question is the one you don't ask. If you're thinking about a question, everybody else on this webinar is also thinking about it. So you're doing your colleagues a favor by asking questions. We won't disclose any names. We'll leave the questions anonymous, so don't worry about getting called out. We won't disclose who asked the question, but we will read the question and answer it for the benefit of everyone here tonight. Well, let me give you my background quickly. I'm not a dentist. I've actually never been a dentist. My background, I started in 1980. This is now my 41st year in this amazing profession. My day job is I own a consulting firm, a coaching firm called the Thriving Practice Academy, Thriving Dentist Academy. I started that coaching firm in 1989. So this is my 32nd year of owning my own firm. I often speak at major dental. Remember when we used to have live meetings? Does anyone remember those? Yeah, they're coming back. I've spoken at just about every major dental conference in North America. I've had the privilege of being invited to speak around the world as well. At last count, I've actually provided over 18,000 hours of CE from the podium at major conferences. Perhaps the highlight of my speaking career thus far was I was very privileged to be invited to deliver the keynote opening address at the Pankey 50th anniversary alumni meeting. That was in September 2009 in Key Biscayne, but I was invited to give the opening keynote, and my dear friend Mary Osborne was invited to give the closing keynote. And that was one of the highlights of my speaking career. I'm a nerd. I don't mind admitting that. I love technology. And I started the very first dental podcast in 2011. We're actually in our 10th year of producing the Thriving Dentist Show. It's called the Thriving Dentist Show. We publish a new episode every Wednesday. So yesterday was episode 478. That means we haven't missed an episode in 478 Wednesdays. And I started it because I simply wanted to share information with dentists, and I wanted to share a new show every Wednesday. So we record them ahead of time, and we publish a new show every Wednesday. I'm rather proud of the fact that today, it was the first dental podcast. Today, it's the #1 dental podcast on Google Play, iTunes, Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music, and the other podcast directories. We have listeners in 185 countries. I'm a visiting instructor at the Pankey Institute. Dr. Leanne Brady, the clinical director, invited me to join the faculty a number of years ago, and I count myself very fortunate to get to spend time every year physically at the Pankey Institute teaching business and behavioral courses related to the essentials courses. Maybe the last part of the resume that's most important is, although I am not a dentist, I do own or co-own a dental practice. Arizona is one of 5 states where you don't have to be a dentist to own a practice. I learned that in 2007, and I partnered with I wanted to own a practice when I learned that, because I wanted to have a test kitchen, a learning and teaching laboratory where we could test concepts that I was going to share with with my audience when I was speaking, with my clients when I'm working with them as a coach. So I partnered with a young dentist, Dr. Paul Nielsen. He's a 2005 graduate of the University of Washington School of Dentistry. We bought a dilapidated backwards fixer-upper practice, and we've been developing that into our ideal practice ever since. We named it Life Smiles Dental Care, just a fun name that we like. I wouldn't want to do what I do as a coach or as an instructor or as a speaker without owning a practice. I thought that it would be useful. However, it has massively exceeded my expectations. I have some new slides tonight I'm going to share with you that I've learned in the last week in my own practice. Here's a partial picture of some of our team members. This is Dr. Paul right here. Paul's a 2005 graduate of the University of Washington School of Dentistry. This is Dr. Tim Schmidt. He graduated in 2010 from Oregon Health Sciences University in Portland, Oregon. He joined us as an associate in January of 13 and became a partner by late 2015. The three of us co-own, or together we own the practice. We're a team of 16 full-time team members. If you count Paul, Tim, and I, we're 19. We're open Monday through Friday, Monday through Thursday, 7 a.m. to 4 p.m., and Friday, 7 a.m. to 2 p.m. We like those early morning hours of 7 and 8 for people that would like appointments outside of the normal 9 to 5 workday. We're a general practice that also does some really nice high-value services. We'll talk more about those as we go. Paul and Tim are amazing young dentists. Both of them have a mastership and a fellowship in the AGD. Both of them are one case away from getting accredited by the AACD. They've both taken a massive amount of CE in complex restorative and also in diagnosing and treating sleep apnea. With appliance therapy and dental implants as well. They take about 250 hours of CE a year. Both Paul and Tim have been through all of the SPEAR education courses in complex restorative dentistry. And now they're going through the Pankey Institute essentials courses as well. I'm very excited to have them go through the essentials courses to enhance what they've learned along their CE journey. This is part of our team. You might recognize, some of you might recognize the background in that slide. It's the skyline of Seattle. We take our team every year to a national conference. And that year was 2018. And we took our team to the Pacific Northwest Dental Conference to participate in that conference for our CE. One of the reasons we did that is that Mary Osborne was speaking at that conference, and I wanted all of my team members to experience Mary Osborne. We're a hygiene-driven practice. I've got 16 days of hygiene. 4 hygienists each work 4 days a week. All 4 of my hygienists are in that photo. Kelly, we inherited when we bought the practice. She was there for 8 years before us. Now with our 14 years, she's been there 22 years. This is Mary Ellen, another one of our hygienists. This is Hillary, and this is Jackie, our 4th hygienist. By choice, both of our doctors work 3 days a week. Paul works Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Tim works Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And we do that on purpose by design. And we do that for 2 reasons. 1, so they can have more family time. And 2, so that they can take a massive amount of CE and not take it at the expense of their family. That's been a very good structure for us. It helps Paul and Tim achieve a functional work-life balance, a struggle for many dentists, for sure. Anyway, it's a little bit about Life Smiles. I'll tell you more as we go tonight. So here's the reality. The current dental insurance system is broken. Newsflash. Act surprised. There's 4 entities today in the dental insurance world. Let me line those out. You've got the dental insurance company that provides the benefits. You've got the dentist that provides the care, the patients that receive the care, and number 4, the employer that bought the policy. In those 4 entities, there's only one winner today. And that is the dental insurance company. Everybody else loses. The dentist loses because he or she has to take a massive discount against their usual fees. Today's discount, it averages between 42 and 44% compared to UCR fees. So the dentist loses. The patients lose because of all of the games the insurance company plays. Heaven forbid your good patient would come in 5 months and 29 days after their last cleaning, their last hygiene appointment, because that claim will likely be denied because it didn't have a 6-month wait. And the employer loses because they're being gouged by the insurance company for their premiums. They're being charged 50 to 70% more than they should be. I'll prove that in just a minute. I hope you enjoy that slide. That's how I feel when I look at in-network fee schedules. Every time I look at that slide, it makes my left eye water. So we talked about this earlier. There's 4 parts that make up the dental insurance universe: the dental insurance company, the dentist, the patient, and the employer. And the only entity that wins today is the insurance company. Everybody else loses. The dentists lose, the patients lose, the employers lose, everyone else loses. It's, in my opinion, it's time for this win-lose lopsided system to go away. Now, earlier I said that the employers are being gouged for premiums. Let me prove that with this next slide. Take a look at this one. I think you're going to, well, I think you'll enjoy it. Take a look at this slide. Maybe it'll make you a little bit angry. This is a slide the insurance companies do not want you to see. However, with enough digging, I was able to discover this information. This is health insurance company CEOs' total compensation, annual compensation in 1 year, in 2018. Let's take a look at this. Well, we know why this guy's smiling right here. He's got 27.2 million reasons to smile. Now, this guy, he looks angry. I think he's angry because, he's number 2 in the list here. He's only making $21.5 million. This guy's just a slacker. I mean, he's only making 8.3 million. That's hardly worth getting up in the morning, right? This guy's over here. I think he's trying to be incognito. He's trying to slide off the screen. He's got his glasses on, sunglasses. He's trying to disappear. This guy saying, I caught you. You can't leave here, buddy. I see you over there trying to slide off the screen. And I don't know what to tell you about this guy. Maybe, he looks like a dope, but maybe his father is the chairman of the board of WellCare Insurance. Anyway, I hope that slide causes you a little bit of anger, because it does me. But that's what we're up against. That's sadly, dental insurance was actually created in 1968, and it was created by dentists for dentists. What happened? Well, in a word, I'll tell you what happened. Greed happened, and you see it up on the screen. Now, I'm a capitalist. You're a capitalist. I don't have any problem with people making a profit. However, when profit comes at the expense of others, that's not the kind of profit I appreciate. I appreciate profit that comes by helping others. Think about it. These CEOs, I'm going to make a very bold statement. Ultimately, they hope that the patients under their plans never go to the dentist. Because if they never go to the dentist, they'll never have to pay any claims. So how do insurance companies make money? They take in premiums and then they don't pay claims. Are they any good at this? They're very good at this. So you likely know the negative realities of staying in network, but you may not know how to successfully go out of network. Tonight, we'll be going over this topic in detail and guide you to successfully resign from PPO plans at your practice. And given the impact of COVID-19, we're still in it. We're hopefully starting to emerge from the pandemic. I'm kind of feeling it day by day now. It depends where you are, of course, in the country. I'm in Arizona. But we're starting to see some positive progress. I believe as more and more vaccines get out, people are feeling more comfortable to go about their lives. But you might ask yourself the question, is now the right time to resign from PPO plans? Well, let me give you a perspective. Among other reasons, increased PPE costs and recovering lost production from the shutdown. Think about this. What happens if things are now taking longer in your practice and your expenses are increasing? Recently I did some research on the increased costs of PPE, and there is no hard data on this just yet. No hard data just yet. But I checked with a very credible source that will publish this information once they have enough data. And their estimate is the average visit cost due to PPE has increased $50 to $60 per visit, 50 to 60. Now, granted, your mileage may vary. It depends how you're handling PPE. It depends on other variables like, did you add filtration in your office for, more industrial strength filtration? Are you fogging? Are you spending more time on wiping down surfaces? But the estimated cost is $50 to $60 per patient visit. If you're getting anything more from the insurance company, many insurance companies aren't paying anything more. If you're getting anything more, that number might be $3 a visit. I've seen $2, $3, $4. That's it. And if your real cost is 50 to 60 and they're throwing you a $3 bone, your costs are going up. And what happens if things take longer, your expenses increase, you aren't able to raise your fees because you can't raise your fees if you're in network. Your net income goes down, and you deserve better than that. So I'm going to make a statement. Today is the best time to prepare to go out of network. Now, I said prepare because I want you to have all of your readiness preparation before you resign. Because if you do that, you'll retain as many of your in-network patients as possible. But there's never been a better time than today. So I want to introduce a mindset right here that I want you to embrace. And here it is. This could be a difference maker for you. From this moment forward, I want you to think of your insurance adjustments as a marketing expense. So in other words, what is the insurance adjustment? The difference between your usual fee and your contracted fee. That average is 42 to 44% today. I want you to think of that as a marketing expense. Why is that? Because you are paying the dental insurance company to provide you patients. You're paying them to provide you patients. That's the only reason to be in their network. But does it make sense for you to pay the dental insurance company 42 to 44% to provide you with patients? So for example, if you have $1,000 fee, I'll just make up a fee, and let's use the 44% example. And the patient is a PPO patient, you're not going to get $1,000 for that service. You're going to get $560, the 50%, the difference of the reverse of 44%. You're going to get $560. Now, I want you to think of that collectively as a marketing expense. Does it make sense for you to pay the dental insurance company 42 to 44% to provide you with patients? No. Why not? You could pay a small fraction of that cost to develop a comprehensive marketing plan. You'll not only save a massive amount of money, but you'll get the added benefit of attracting new patients to your practice who don't have dental insurance. And if they don't have dental insurance, they won't ask you two questions. They won't ask you if you're a network, number one. And number two, if you present dentistry to them, they aren't going to ask you, does my insurance cover this? Is anyone else besides me tired of hearing patients when you present dentistry? Doc, is that covered by my insurance? It's a fair question. I'm not being critical of the patient. But oftentimes, patients that come in from the PPO plans have a very insurance mindset. And they're only interested in having things done if their insurance pays for it. They're not really interested in optimal oral health. Well, they are if insurance will pay for it. But otherwise, not so much. So I'll use my own example. This is a photo of the outside of our office called Life Smiles Dental Care. When we bought our practice, unbeknownst to Paul and I, we discovered shortly after we bought it that it was infected with PPO plans, 34 to be exact. We had a simple vision. It's simple, but actually profound. We wanted to take care of patients the way we would like to be taken care of, clinically and behaviorally. So clinically, we wanted to provide the diagnosis and the treatment that we would like if we were a patient. And behaviorally, we wanted to provide the experience that we would like if we were a patient. And at the time, our average discount in those 34 plans was 38%. It's gone up. Notice where it's going. It's going up. It's not going down, the adjustment. And we couldn't do it. We wanted to provide one standard of care. We were not going to have two standards of care. We weren't going to have a standard of care for a fee-for-service patient and a different standard of care for a PPO patient. Paul or I could not sleep at night. Paul would never agree to that, nor would I. And so we couldn't get it to work. So starting in September of 2007, we took the bold leap and started resigning from PPO plans one at a time. It took us 2 years, a little bit over 2 years. But here's what I want you to look at here related to what I said about looking at that as a marketing expense. For us, it was 38%. Would you rather pay 38% of your revenue for marketing or what we paid last year, 1.6%? It's not a trick question. Would you rather pay 38% of your revenue for marketing or 1.6%? Take as long as you like. You don't have to be a math major. You can call a friend. Yeah, I'm going for 1.6%. Let's talk about overhead. In my coaching work that we do with clients, our goal is to help our clients develop a thriving practice, one that provides personal, professional, and financial satisfaction. And one of our goals with our clients is to have overhead no higher than 60%, ideally 50%. That's very difficult, by the way. However, I can confidently say that every one of you on this webinar tonight can get your overhead to 60% or less. How can I say that confidently? We've done it with hundreds of practices all over the country. Note, your association, the ADA, the American Dental Association, reports that in 2018, the most recent year of published information, 2019, the average dental practice overhead in 2019, 74%. If your overhead 74% or higher, you're working too hard for too little. And look at this just mathematically. You simply cannot have a practice with overhead no higher than 60% if you're writing off 42 to 44% right off the top. It's a mathematical impossibility. It's mathematically impossible. Just do the math. You can't do it. So a practice that's PPO dependent typically experiences today a 42 to 44% discount on their PPO patients because of your contracted fees. However, most dentists have no idea what they're writing off. Let me take a minute and explain that. There's two ways to enter your fees in your practice management software. One way is to enter your contracted fees, let me back up. One way is to enter your usual and customary fees. And then when you get an EOB from the insurance company, you enter that information in to also figure out your adjusted production. And then we could run a report and find out what you're actually writing off. However, only 10% of the dentists in the United States enter their UCR fees into their practice management software. The other 90% do it the other way. They simply enter their contracted fees. Every practice management software company encourages you to do that. And the reason they do that, it makes it easier to track your collections. However, the downside, 90% of dentists do it that way. The downside of that is you never know what you're writing out. It's out of sight, out of mind. You never know. And it's hard to make good decisions when you don't have information. So I want to share a story with you. I'll come back to that in just a minute. Here's an actual case study. I got a phone call last week from a potential client. I won't use his name, but I'll share the data with you. His practice in 2020 collected just over $1 million. He said, hey, you can round it to $1 million. It was just over that, but let's call it $1 million. Okay. 80% of his patients were PPO patients. His average adjustment was 42%, kind of just what I said, 42 to 44%. And I said, Doc, do you know how much you wrote off? He goes, no, I've just entered my contracted fees. So we've designed a insurance write-off calculator. It's a custom Excel spreadsheet. And you simply enter in some information and the spreadsheet does all the work. And it lets you know what you had to produce in order to collect the $1 million. So I asked his permission, can I go ahead and enter your information into the PPO insurance write-off calculator? He said, sure, I'd love to know. Here's what we found out. His practice had to produce $1,537,000 worth of dentistry to collect $1 million. The difference is not a collections problem. It's an adjustment problem. Think about that for a minute. It's not a collections problem. He collected 99.8% of his adjusted production. He was getting an A+ on the report card on collections. It's not a collections problem. It's an adjustment problem. And if you accept my definition, we look at what he wrote off $537,000. And if you accept my description, his practice was spending $44,750 per month on marketing. That's 537 divided by 12. But the overhead of the practice is based on needing to do $1,537,000 per year in production in order to collect $1 million. That's where the overhead is based. I actually put the slide in the wrong spot, but let me move back to it. If you would like to have us do that for you and run that calculation, we've put the link up there, thrivingdentist.com/PPO. That'll take you to our insurance write-off calculator. We'll respond back and let you know what the answer was. But I'd encourage you to do it because you can't make good decisions without having information. Doctors, it would be like trying to do comprehensive diagnosis in your practice without having the records, without having radiographs, without having photos. Maybe you want a CBCT if we're doing an implant. It's hard to make good decisions without the information. So you really need to know what you're writing off, although it's a little bit painful to see. But I would encourage you, take a photo of that slide. If you want to go to another window and open that up, it takes you a minute. If you don't have the exact information, just do best guess. You can enter best guess. But this program that we wrote is accurate to plus or minus 2%. It's accurate to plus or minus 2%. So you'll get a very accurate read on what you're actually writing off. You might want to be sitting down when we send you back the results. By the way, everything will be held completely confidential, never to be shared. So please feel safe in using that calculator. All right, I'll get back to where I was. Let me go through this again. Although it's painful to look at this, it's good for us to know that. And think about this for a minute. You've heard this saying sometimes said about different things. You maybe have heard that, this is the gift that keeps giving. We've used that phrase in our lives. But think about these adjustments. It's not a one and done adjustment. It's not that it's just 1 year, but think about this. It happens each and every year. So instead of the gift that keeps on giving, this is the pain you keep receiving. So using that example of that doctor that was writing off $537,000 a year, in 5 years, this practice would literally give away $2.685 million in 5 years. Now, let's say the doctor is in the middle career and he or she has another 20 years. This practice would give away $10,720,000 in 20 years. I think there's so many better places to put that money to use than lining the pockets of the CEOs of insurance companies. I think you'd agree with me on that. Well, as I said, we've all heard the phrase, the gift that keeps giving. PPO participation is the pain that is never ending. That's why it's necessary for you to consider reducing insurance dependence if you want to thrive as a practice. Notice I said reducing insurance dependence. Success doesn't necessarily mean becoming completely fee-for-service, although If that's your goal, I will be your biggest cheerleader. But success might mean reducing it. Maybe you start with 10 or 12 plans and we get down to one. And maybe you've had so much success getting rid of those other plans that maybe we take the leap and get rid of the last one. But there are a lot of variables involved. Every practice is different. It depends on your community, depends on your practice, depends on your patient base, the employers in your community. So we talk about it as reducing insurance dependence, not necessarily going fee for service. Although, as I said, if that's your goal, I'm going to be your biggest cheerleader. Anyone, and that really should say dental insurance companies, who tell you otherwise simply do not have the best interests of you, your team members, your patients, or your practice best interest in mind. And those are the groups that we should be keeping happy. So now let's dive into the 6-step plan to reduce insurance dependence. This is your blueprint to successfully resign from PPO plans. And by the way, we've done this in many practices all over the country successfully. And we've done it in every location format imaginable. Urban practices, suburban practices, large towns, medium-sized towns, small towns, rural practices, remote practices, practices in corporate towns. Let me name off some corporate towns. Cincinnati, Ohio is a corporate town. Houston, Texas is a corporate town. Chicago, Illinois is a corporate town. Seattle, Washington. Seattle's a great example. Think of the major employers in Seattle. I'll name 4. Boeing Aircraft, major employer. Amazon, major employer. Microsoft, and Starbucks. Many of Seattle's residents work for one of those 4 companies. And yet, by the way, all 4 of those companies have Delta Dental insurance. And we've been successful with practices in Seattle, successfully resigning from insurance. Hope that's encouraging to you. So here is the 6-step plan. I'm going to name it now, and then we'll go through each one in detail. Step 1, know your data. All this will make sense before we finish. Number 2, develop a comprehensive marketing plan. You've got to replace any people we might lose, and we also have to replace the flow of patients that have historically come in from you being a PPO provider. Number 3, tactical, create an in-office membership plan. Number 4, get your team 100% supportive of your plan. If your team's 100% supportive, you're going to have way more success keeping your patients. Number 5, elevate the relationship-driven element of your practice. Make it even better. As good as you're doing, make it even better. Because when you're in relationship with your patients, they're way less likely to leave. And number 6, add services not covered by insurance. There's the 6-step plan. Now let's go through them in detail. Step 1, know your data. I'm going to encourage you to create a very simple spreadsheet with the following information. The name of the PPO plan, so we want to know all the plans you're on. Secondly, the number of patients on the plan. This is only a 3-column spreadsheet. And number 3, how much advance notice you're required to resign from the PPO plan. Every PPO contract has a resignation notice that's required. Usually it's short. It's 30 days, but it could be 60 days. It could be 90 days. I've seen as long as 180 days. Now that's really an outlier, but I have seen it. So create a spreadsheet. Ask your office manager to gather this information for you. The name of the PPO plan, the number of patients on the plan. Your software can provide that through a report. And the advance notice required to resign. Your office manager could read through every one of your PPO plans and find this. However, it's usually on page 272. So what I would encourage her to do is just call the insurance company and say, hey, how much, we're considering going out of network. How much time is required to resign? And they're required to give you that information. They are required. And ask them to send you over either by email or fax, send you over that page so you can have that for your records. So first of all, know your data. This is important because all of this information we use to determine the order in which you resign from these plans. When we resigned, we started with the smallest plan we had in our practice that only had 22 patients on it. Now, you don't want to lose any patients, but you want to start with a small plan because we want to practice. We want to build our muscles to do this. And we figured, hey, if we come out of the gate and we flat out fall on our face, which we did not, and we lose 22 patients, that wouldn't be the end of the world. That didn't happen, by the way. I don't think we lost a single one on the first plan. But you want to start with a smaller plan so that you build your experience. And we want to know the order in which, how much notice we're required to resign to determine the order in which you're going to resign. So number one, get your data, get your records, just like we do with patients. Get the records. Step two, develop a comprehensive marketing plan. It's critical that you develop your comprehensive marketing plan early in your journey to drop PPO plans so that you can proactively replace any patients you might lose when you go out of network. And this allows you to be in a position of strength as well. We back up to that slide. And you have to replace any new patients that have come in from the flow of being a PPO provider. As soon as you resign from the PPO plan, it's like a giant reaches out and turns the spigot off on the hose. You won't get any more new patients from that PPO plan. So you've got to replace them in advance. Now, let's talk about marketing success in 2021 and beyond. It's all about Google. What's the number one search engine in the world? Google. If it was a live audience, I always ask this question: what's the number two search engine in the world? And people will yell out answers like Bing and other search engines. And I said, no. But just in case you're on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, and the question is, what's the number two search in the world? The actual answer is who cares? I'm kidding, but really it is who cares because Google is so dominant. But just in case you're on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, and that's the question, the answer to that question is YouTube, which, drum roll please, is owned by Google. So how do you dominate Google and get people to find you? Dental marketing is about two things: helping your ideal patients find you and giving them a reason to choose you. Some of us, if you're my vintage, will remember a time when practice management experts used to say, you want to locate your practice on a busy street where people driving by can see your practice. It's all about traffic. I never fully subscribed to that, by the way, but some people said that. Well, today we're still dealing with traffic, but it's not traffic in the form of people driving by your office. It's traffic coming from a Google search. So how do you get people to find you? Marketing is all about getting the right people to find you. And then secondly, giving them a reason to choose you. How do you dominate it? Here's how. You do it through, I'm going to throw out some acronyms here: NAP, name, address, phone, directory identification on the internet. You do it through website optimization. You do it through the use of Google EAT. EAT is an acronym used by Google. It stands for expertise, authority, and trust. You've got to prove to Google that you have expertise, authority, and trust. You do it through effective content writing on your website. This is where many dentists fail, and I'll tell you why. Google penalizes duplicate content. If the information on your website is on many other or even one other dentist office website, then they penalize you and you'll be less likely to show up on page one of a search for a dentist in your community. You have to have unique content on your website. Many dentists don't know that the marketing company that wrote the website has resold your website. Maybe they gave you an exclusive. Maybe they say, we won't let another dentist in your zip client. But if they use the same website for other dentists anywhere else in the world, anywhere else, because the internet doesn't have any borders, then you will be penalized by Google. And that's why many dental offices will never get their website on page one of a Google search because of that key detail. And finally, we do it through search engine optimization, where we have the website programmed, and we've written the website in such a way that plays to the Google search engine organic. We're not paying for this. We earn ranking on page one through Google. And in a nutshell, that's what it is. Now, is it possible that you can do all of this to master digital marketing in practice? In my own practice, we use an outside agency. They're called Equa, EKWA. They're a digital dental marketing agency. They're located outside of Toronto, California. Again, EKWA. And we've used them for about 4.5 years, and we get fantastic results. We get the right number of new patients and the right quality of new patients, and I'm spending a fraction on my digital marketing. Is it possible that you can do everything to master digital marketing? The answer is yes. I did it myself up until about 4 years ago. Now, I am a nerd, and I do have some marketing and programming knowledge. I did it. However, it took me an average of 15 to 18 hours per week. It worked for us because I could spend the time doing that. I do the business of the practice. Paul and Tim do the dentistry. So they could put their heads down and be a dentist, and I could work on the business side. I couldn't recommend that approach to any of my clients because I don't know a dentist on the planet that has an extra 15 to 18 hours a week to work on their marketing, even if they did know how to do it. So consider using the marketing agency that I use. I pay them. They are our agency. Again, it's Equa Digital Marketing Agency. There's their website, ekwa.com. By the way, they did a courtesy for your attending tonight's webinar. They are willing to do a marketing strategy meeting. They call it MSM, a marketing strategy meeting. If you click on that link, you can schedule. It's just an electronic scheduler. You would actually meet with Lila Stone. Lila is their director of marketing. Lila's going to spend about 6 hours of research prior to your Zoom meeting. Your marketing strategy meeting. She's going to research Google Analytics and show you exactly where you stand in the eyes of Google. She's going to show you what's working about your website and what's not. And she'll make some suggestions to do to get enhanced results moving forward. They normally charge for that marketing strategy meeting. It's a $900 expense. However, they've agreed to waive it because of my relationship with Pankey. They've agreed to waive that, and they'd be done at no cost. I would encourage you to do it. You'll learn things about your practice that you don't know, and you'll learn things about marketing you don't know. Equa gave me permission to share their fee structure with you tonight. I like their fee structure. They use a all-inclusive monthly service fee. It's $1,200 a month. It's all-inclusive. There's no surprise fees. They write your website unique, all unique content. They do all of the SEO, all of the NAP, name, address, phone, directory management. They do quality backlinks to have your practice show up in other locations on the internet. They master the Google Eat algorithm. They work on your Google Lighthouse scores. Every one of your pages has a Google Lighthouse score, every page on your website. And that's a score that ranges from 50 to 100 on every one of your pages. And every page is ranked in 4 different categories. And you want a very high Lighthouse score in order to rank on page 1 of a Google search. And all of that's covered under that $1,200 a month fee. It's not inexpensive. If you annualize that, it's $14,400 a year. So 1,200 times 12 is $14,400 a year. However, when you look at how much you're spending on insurance adjustments, that will be a radical savings. Imagine that doctor spending $537 a year and have that go down to $14,400. That may be all you need to do marketing-wise to hit your growth targets in your practice. Step 3, create an in-office membership plan. Now we're going to get in the weeds a little bit. What is that? In-office membership plan. Think of it as your own office Prime card, like an Amazon Prime card, or a Costco card, your own practice branded Costco card. It's a wonderful way to roll out the red carpet to people in your community who don't have dental insurance. Here's how it can work. Here's some details. Come up with an annual fee that covers 2 hygiene visits, x-rays, and doctor exams. One of those doctor's exams will be comprehensive. The other will be periodic. You determine it. You come up with it, whatever you want. If you ask my input, I would recommend somewhere around $300. Maybe it's $297. Maybe it's $300 or $299. And then provide a savings, a discount. I like to call it savings rather than discount on any service in your practice to your membership plan patients. By the way, we were one of the first dental offices in the country to have a membership plan. And it's a great way to roll the red carpet out and bring people into your practice. Let me talk more about this discount because I don't like it, but let me talk about it. So we tested various discount percentages in hundreds of practices to find the right discount. We wanted it to be enough of a discount to motivate people to sign up, but also wanted the discount to be as low as possible for you. We tested 20%, 18%, 15%, 12%, 10%, and 8%. We discovered 10% was a sweet spot. Now remember, anything less than 42 to 44% would be a win compared to the insurance company. But 10% is a sweet spot. I don't like the 10% discount, but I really like how it does allow us to bring in people that don't have insurance. And it really helps the bottom line. And it's a wonderful plan because there's no games. Think about it. If they want to come in, we provide 2 hygiene appointments a year. I know what I'm about to say doesn't make clinical sense, but if a patient comes in on Monday for their first hygiene appointment, and they want to come in on Thursday for their second one, I know that doesn't make sense. Knock yourself out. But certainly if they show up 5 months and 29 days, no problem. No exclusions, no annual limits. I mean, this applies to everything in your practice. So if the patient needs a complex or wants a complex restorative treatment plan, and let's say it's $40,000, they save $4,000. And here's the punchline. No claims. There's no claims on this. It's win, win, win all the way around. Keep it simple. The universe of people so I've been in offices that have very complex membership plans. I was in an office one time as a coach that had a healthy patient plan, a perio patient plan, a restorative patient plan, and a complex restorative patient plan. And after having their membership plan in their practice for 2 years, they had a grand total of 3 patients on any plan. Why is that? Because nobody could explain it. Keep it simple. The universe of people who do not have dental insurance is growing rapidly and will likely increase even more in the post-COVID-19 world. Think about people that don't have insurance. Could be many types of people, but tell me if you have any of these kind of people in your community. Retirees. In your area, do you have any retirees? I bet you do. How about the other end of the age spectrum? Millennials. You have any millennials in your practice? Bet you do. And third group, we call them gig economy workers. These are independent contractors, freelancers. They're Uber drivers, Lyft drivers. They own Etsy shops. They have an Airbnb. They own a VRBO. Any of those people in your town? Well, market to them. They can be great patients. Step 4, train your team to fully support your plan to drop PPO plans. So very important detail, but whenever you're involving your team, I want you to think about my favorite radio station. What is my favorite radio station? WIIFM. Actually, that's not a radio station. It's an acronym. It stands for What's in It for Me. And the me that I mean here is your team members. What's in it for them? We do some verbal skills training so your team members know what to say and when to say it, how to say it. We dedicate some team members to providing role-playing practice so that we're prepared when people ask questions. And then I'm going to share a really fun exercise for you guys to do as a team. I'll go through all this real quick. So WIFM stands for What's in It for Me. As you share with your team members your plan to drop PPO plans, speak to them in terms of what's in it for them for you to successfully drop PPO plans. A more sane work schedule. If you feel like a hamster on the treadmill, your team members do too. So talk to them about a more sane work schedule. Talk to them about this point. More practice financial success equals potential for more team member financial success. You can't give from an empty wagon. And number 3, wouldn't they love to experience more patients who truly appreciate the dentist and team members rather than being upset about the limitations of their dental insurance? You bet they would. Verbal skills. You're going to get this call many times after you go out of network. Hey, do you take my insurance? And without proper training, many team members drop the ball on this one. Many times we've heard the team members say, no, we're out of network with all plans. Well, clunk, the phone will get hung up and you've lost an opportunity for a new patient. So here's the way we might answer the question. We love to see new patients. You called the right office. My name's Carly. Who am I speaking with? Linda, although we are not contracted with Delta Insurance Company, you can absolutely use your benefits in our practice. When you come in, you'll meet Meg. She's our expert at helping all of our patients get the maximum benefit of their insurance policy. Meg's going to file your claims. We're going to submit all the documentation. We're going to do any necessary follow-up to help you get every nickel of benefit you have from your insurance benefits, and you can use your benefits in our practice. We make the process very easy. If this is true, we're going to say, we have many patients who have the very same dental insurance as you. Would you prefer a morning or afternoon appointment? Imagine that, those verbal skills. Team meetings. I want to encourage you to schedule a couple of dedicated team meetings for role-playing practice with your team members. Now, think of these meetings as a dress rehearsal. If you are an actor or actress in a play, the producer would schedule a number of dress rehearsals in preparation for opening night. They're not going to have opening night without doing some rehearsals. Now, let me give you a heads up on this one. I've yet to meet a dental team member in my 41 years of experience that wants to do role playing. Be prepared for resistance from your team members. They'll even go as far as say, doctor, we're really busy right now. Let's forget the team meeting this week. Let's put patients in. And they'll be very convincing. No. I've yet to meet a dental team member who likes it. However, it's very important. Stick to your guns. For the first role-playing team meeting, let your team members know they're welcome to read from any script. By the way, we'll provide you with scripts. I'll get some links to Desi, and we'll make sure we get you those links. We'll provide you with all the verbal skills, all the stuff we use with our clients. We'll provide you with those. And we tell team members that the first meeting, they're welcome to read the scripts. But for the second team meeting, we want them to develop talking points and be able to just speak from talking points rather than reading the scripts. We've all been on the receiving end of scripts, and it doesn't feel very good. It's a good way for them to get comfortable with the topic. After the first role-playing meeting, ask your team members to use their own talking points. One more exercise. In a separate team meeting, I want you to do this. Don't let them know ahead of time. Just make it a surprise. Doctor, go around the room and ask each team member to give one answer to the following question. That should be singular. I just caught that. Why should patients come to our office for their dental care? Just one reason. And here's the rules. No repeat responses. So, doctor, you call on people as you go around the room. You're going to be last, doctor, because the last one's the hardest because everyone else went. You can't repeat an answer. You got to come up with something new. And then when you get to you, go around the room one more time with you being the last one. I recently did this in an office with 16 team members, including the doctors. So they had to come up with 32 reasons. And they had no trouble coming up with 30. If you can't come up with 32 reasons why a patient should come to your practice, then you shouldn't go out of network. It's a fun exercise because what happens is it gives you all confidence. Hey, we got this. We got this. We got this. By the way, how do we measure success when we go out of network? Typically, what we see today, and we're talking about in real time right now, is you will lose patients. Let's recognize that. I don't know of any single case we've done this in where we haven't lost a patient. You're going to lose patients. But we like to see losses no more. We like to see you keep between 85 and 90% of your existing in-network patients when you go out of network, meaning you're going to lose 10 to 15%. And I think you'd agree that you're in a much better position when you look at the math, when you keep 85 to 90% of your in-network patients that you're now getting a full fee from. So we'll go around the room twice with the dentist being last in each round. It's a great exercise. And then talk about what you learned at the end. Step 5, elevate the relationship-driven element of your practice. And it's all about what the wonderful poet Maya Angelou said. She passed away in 2018, but I love this quote. Maya said, "I've learned that people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget the way you made them feel." I'm going to read that again because it's so powerful. I've learned that people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget the way you made them feel. That's what a relationship-driven practice is all about. It's your secret sauce. What does it mean? It means we know their names. We know their spouse's name. We know their kids' names. We know their dog's name. We know their hobbies. We know their interests. We know their colleges they went to. We know important dates in their life. We genuinely know our patients. Dr. Pankey was a master at this. He talked about know your patient. And he wasn't just referring to clinical knowledge. It was all about the people side of dentistry. You know, I teach at dental school on Mondays, Midwestern University School of Dental Medicine, and I teach all 4 classes, D1, D2, D3, D4. On the very first day of fall quarter for my D1 students, my very first slide is a picture of Dr. Pankey, and underneath it says, "I've never seen a tooth walk into my office." And then I ask these D1 students, these newbies just beginning their journey, and I say, I'm going to ask you a trick question. Are you treating a tooth or a patient or a person? And they get it. And I tell them, I want you to take a picture of this slide, and I want you to look at this every day in your career, every single day, to remind you that we're not just taking care of teeth, we're taking care of a person. This is your secret sauce. When a patient feels that they're being taken care of by people who they know, like, and trust, they don't want to go anywhere else for their dental care. They're not going to go somewhere else. So here's some tips to elevate this in your practice. As good as you're doing, we can all get better at it. Are you entering patient personal information in a specific place in your computer system, not in clinical notes? Is there a place for you to enter spouses' names, kids' names, dog's name, all these notes? And do team members add this information as well? Because very often team members pick up information. Invite your team to enter information into these notes. Now go a step further. Paul and Tim, and this is what we teach our clients to do. We teach our clients to come in about 20 minutes before the morning huddle. I know I'm not going to win any popularity contest with that recommendation. Come in, Dr. You. Come in minutes before your morning. Our morning huddles is at 6:45. We start at 7. That means they got to get in there at 6:25. Look at every patient you're seeing today and pull up these clinical notes and do your prep. When you walk in to do the hygiene exam, you'll be prepared. You know, you can have a great memory, but your great memory doesn't compare to your computer's memory system. It's a great way to truly be prepared. Now, are you sending your patient? We used to do evening week care calls. We did them for many, many, many years until 2 years ago. 2 years ago, we switched. We still do them, but we do them by text message. And we send a text to every patient that received an injection that day. It looks like it comes from the doctor. And it says, Dave, this is Dr. Paul, your dentist. I always like to check in with my patients on the evening of treatment. Was just checking in to see how well you're doing. Now, during the day, Paul and Tim keep a folded up copy of the daily schedule in their lab coat pocket, and they write down notes on that on their folded up schedule. And the patient might say they're very excited today because this is their son's first Little League game. And then we're going to incorporate that into the text message. They get those to the team. The team actually sends the messages out. And they might say, hey, Dave, I hope that Little League game went well with your son today. I was thinking about you. Hey, listen, no need to return my text. Just want to let you know we were thinking about you. Think about that. Think how that can elevate. Let them know how much you care. You know, the patient doesn't care how much you know till they know how much you care. Handwritten thank you notes. I know this is old school, but stick with me on this. Who could we write thank you notes to? Patients who just completed significant treatment. Maria, you chose the best that dentistry has to offer. I wish all my patients were as committed to their health as you are. Patients who drive a long way. Larry, we know you drive a long way to see us. I just wanted to say thank you and let you know how much I appreciate your trust and confidence. You rock. Patients who are just a pleasant joy to be around. Sylvia, when I see your name on my schedule, I know I'm going to have a good day. Thanks for being part of our patient family. Patients who proactively respond to your treatment and do things, at the earliest stage to avoid future problems, like maybe replacing old amalgam fillings before they fail. Laura, I want to compliment you on your commitment to your health. You made a great decision to get those old fillings replaced. I wish all my patients were as thoughtful as you. Step 6, high-value services. Some crazy guy once said this, people will often pay for what they want before they'll pay for what they need. People will often pay for what they want before they'll pay for what they need. That's what this is all about. So consider there's no blueprint to follow regarding adding high-value services to your practice. I wish there was. There aren't, though. Think about the clinical areas that interest you and use those to create your own unique selection of high-value services to incorporate in your practice. So here's some worth considering. Maybe you want to place some Restore Dental, and all this assumes that you take a massive amount of CE to become competent. Maybe you want to replace some Restore implants. Maybe we want to do adult ortho, Invisalign, 6-month smiles. Maybe we want to do some beautiful cosmetic dentistry. Cosmetic dentistry can be a lot of things, but I tend to think of it as veneers. Maybe we want to do oral conscious sedation. Maybe we want to do complex restorative dentistry like you learn how to do at the Pankey Institute. Maybe we want to start diagnosing and treating sleep apnea. If it's allowed in your state, maybe you want to start incorporating Botox into your practice, if that interests you. But people will pay for what they want before they'll pay for what they need. So here's some resources for you. I would encourage you to subscribe to the Thriving Dentist podcast. We publish every Wednesday. And it's all about helping you develop a thriving practice that provides personal, professional, and financial satisfaction. You can go to the website, thrivingdentist.com, and subscribe, or you can download all of the episodes. All 478 episodes can be downloaded for free. You can do it on iTunes, Google Play. Back up to that. Excuse me just a second. Oh, sorry, I lost it. So you can go to Apple, iTunes, you can go to Google Play, you can go to Spotify, hit subscribe. That means every Thursday, it's free. That means every Thursday you can upload, we'll automatically upload the current episode for your listening convenience. I created a second podcast 2 years ago called the Less Insurance Dependence Podcast. And it's all about what the title says, helping you reduce your insurance dependence. We're now at episode 128 on that one. 120, it's short format. Each episode is about 15 to 18 minutes long, where we provide quick tips that you can apply to reduce insurance dependence. And again, you can go to the Less Insurance Dependence site. There it is, lessinsurancedependence.com. Or you can go to iTunes, Google Play, wherever as well. And again, you could go on a Netflix style binge listening voyage and listen to all of them over time. So I want to take a minute and say thank you. We're going to get to the Q&A just a minute, but I wanted to say thank you for your attendance tonight. I appreciate each and every one of you. Thanks so much for being here tonight.